Welcome to Face to Face, and today we're going to talk about poverty. We're going to talk about the Poor People campaign. I am with two activists, Jen and Susan, who are going the good fight, and I would just want to welcome them to Face. So, welcome to Face, Jen and Susan. So we're gonna do a quick a presentation of who you are and what you're doing, and after that, Susan too will give us a big picture of what is the Poor People campaign.
Okay.
Susan. Yeah.
I'm Susan Karbiner from Long Island, although I'm currently living in Connecticut, but co-chair of the Long Island region of the New York State Poor People's Campaign and a member of the coordinating committee of the New York State campaign.
Perfect.
Okay.
Jen, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Janie Lynch. I'm living in Nassau County right now on the land of the Rockaways, and I'm on the coordinating committee of New York State, co-chair of Long Island region, and I'm also on the care team and the political ed team.
Great. So, Susan, you explain to us what is the Poor People campaign, but also the background of where it's coming from. What is the focus behind it? Because I think it's a very important statement.
The Poor People's Campaign is a movement devoted to continuing and expanding on the work of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who founded the original Poor People's Campaign in 1968. King recognized that it wasn't enough to fight for civil rights, that all the injustices in our society are interrelated, calling us to fight for human rights. We have a vision of a peaceful world where everyone has the right to decent and affordable housing, free health care, free quality education, clear air and water, a living wage or support if they're unable to work, and the right to elect officials who will represent them and promote the rights of all people and not just the few.
Great. So this is a continuation. It's an ongoing process of the Martin Luther King fight. Who came up with this conclusion. Then either we do it globally or we are not doing anything, more or less. And so in today's world, in today's situation, what in some way, what are you doing, or how do you make this statement alive? And I don't know if Jane or Susan want to take this one.
Well, I will say that we're constantly being told to do more. MORE, mobilize, organize, register, and educate. And those are the things that we're trying to do. We're trying to get the word out, like what we're doing today. And as far as the specifics of the actions we're taking, Janie can tell you about that.
Okay. Yeah, well, what we're trying to do is organize the deliberately disorganized. In other words, the system has created a way to keep people from each other. So by educating people, we can then get them to see that, I'm going to quote my Zinn now, that you can't be neutral on a moving train, that even if you don't think you're affected, you're involved in this. With 140 million people, 43% of whom are from the United States are near or in poverty. That's so huge. So how did we get there? We call ourselves root doctors. Like, how did this happen? And in order to educate, you've got to put people in the seats. So every event we have, we consider that. We say, like, through analysis, what will this do to help us understand the 5 evils that we added 2 more to Dr. King's, that are underneath all the problems that we face. And so we had the More Tour, which Susan alluded to mobilize, organize, register, and educate. And we connected with our friends in the Shinnecock Nation out on Long Island. And we've kept that community connected to us. And we understand that what happens to one really is happening to all, just in different ways. So we took that tour on the road, and it went upstate. And then often what we're doing is we're trying to bring attention to a particular piece of legislation, but as long as it connects with what we're trying to make people see. So that's how we educate. We bring people to events. We were at Swazi's over the summer. The Swazi is a congressman on Long Island, to deliver a message to him to support voting rights and many things we'll get into, I'm sure, later in this. We're going to go to our Senator Schumer, who is also very powerful in the Senate, and we're going to ask him to hold the line on the Build Back Better. It is diminishing as we speak, but all these things are to make people aware and educate them, not just to have a one-shot moment of an event. They're all to lead to another and meet people and make them conscious of how this all came about.
So I have I can understand the structural aspect of the poor community in the US because of how everything is organized. What I don't understand, and I think that's what King tried to do, it's a moral aspect of that gap. It's like, how can we accept, how can we organize our society today and be able to leave people without very basic resources, and even have to justify a basic income, or have to justify housing, or have to justify health access. So this is where I was very excited to talk with you, Cecilia. How can we address this moral aspect, and how can we really give power to humanity, to everyone, to our universal aspect of human being?
We are a coalition, a fusion coalition of more than 200 groups. And each one of these groups is working on something that is in line with what we're proposing, what we're espousing. We work with healthcare groups, with housing groups, with peace groups, with environmentalist groups, and we support what they're doing, and we ask them to support what we're doing and to understand and incorporate in their work the interrelatedness of their particular issue with all the other issues. It's the same people who are in power who are causing the suffering, whether it shows up as an environmental devastation, or healthcare, lack of healthcare and health insurance, or inadequate housing. These are all caused by people in our capitalist society who are advocating for profits over people. And our message is that they have to pay attention to the people.
Jen, you want to add to this?
Yeah, no, Susan got to the root of it. But yeah, so how does that look in real life? Well, we work with the nonviolent, we're calling it Medicaid Army now, and it's a way to bring attention to the healthcare that is so desperate. And an action we just took recently was to go up to Mount Vernon, where they were going to close a hospital in a much more people of color dominated area. Of course, take away their resources. So we put our foot down and said no there. So that's it, because it is a moral obligation. There's no way around it. It's not about a religion per se. It's about just basic human connection, you know.
And so you come from a religious background, or it's more the king's side? And then I open the door to the visit of the Pope from the Reverend, and maybe one of you want to cover that.
Janie?
Yeah, well, okay. So Catholic training from 5 years old all the way through the end of college. Yeah, all Catholic training. And then I taught for 40 years at a Catholic high school. So yeah, there's that. But this is something that, and the Pope, this Pope particularly, is connected to the teachings that we usually ascribe to Jesus. But it doesn't have to be a particular religious background. It's just this moral that vision that so many people have, agnostic, atheist. It's it's a biological imperative. We keep denying that, and much to our illness in this country, we can see that too.
Yeah. And then so based on that visit, what was the meeting with the Pope? Do you want to talk about it, or we can move on to more concrete activities if you prefer?
Well, just to say that the very fact that Bishop Barber went over to visit him introduces the internationality of this movement. It isn't just something here. This is where you begin. You start local, state, country, worldwide. And the very fact he went there and spoke with him, I think indicates how our connections around the world are. You know?
Yeah.
So we'll put the link in.
And also the power of the work you are doing to be seen as an international level, who is also a good reference for you, but also as an international level, as you say. Because the poverty is not just in New York, and it's not just in the US, and it's the same frame and structure in South America, in Africa, and then we have a small percentage of people with overwhelming revenue and income and so on and so forth, and then a large percentages of the population who are left with very, very little.
Yes. Amen.
So, Susan, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the image of the future and where this is going?
I was raised a Unitarian Universalist and don't believe in a traditional God. I'm a spiritual person, but not a religious person. And what attracted me to the movement was the subtitle. It's called The Poor People's Campaign, a National Call for Moral Revival. Yeah. And when I heard that, I said, moral revival, that is what we need.
Yeah.
And this is what I want to do and want to devote my life to the rest of my life. I was 75 years old at the time, but I'm going into the fourth quarter, right? And fighting for a win. Wow. I was never involved in politics. Didn't have a good impression of politicians in general. But this is a fight that I think is really, really important.
Yeah.
Yes, and the fact that I just wanted to bring up about politicians, we don't support any particular politician ever. We ask them to support our demands. That's how we go about this.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
That's true. So we have few minutes left. Do you want to talk about a specific call for people to do, or a specific campaign you want to and then we put the website where people can get more information, of course. One of you.
Susan, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of information on the website. It started before they even announced the organization as the Poor People's Campaign. The founders hired a company to travel around and do truth commissions around the country, where they had people who were impacted by these evils, which I will tell you what they are, to speak about them and how they were affected. And they put together a piece of literature called The Souls of Poor Folk, which is on the website. The original Martin Luther King's original 3 evils that he spelled out were poverty and racism and militarism and the war economy. And he tied those together. Ecological devastation wasn't really on the horizon at that point, but we have added that one. And also the false moral narrative of religious nationalism is our 5th pillar. So those are the things that we keep in mind and relate everything to. The second thing that we did was to create a moral budget, because of course people say, oh, well, you want to give people universal health care and everybody housing, and that's a pie in the sky dream. How much
do you pay for it?
And the fact is that we approved with 2 different studies that we can actually save money. We're the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Absolutely. There is enough money to give everything to everybody, not just in this country, but in the whole world. And it's not a lack of money. It's a lack of the political will of the people in power who don't want to give the money to the people who deserve it. They want to take it for themselves.
You have a minimum wage, but you don't have a maximum cap, salary or wages. So, yeah, absolutely.
And of course, our principles and our ongoing activities, our songs, videos. There's a huge amount of information on the website.
And all of this we'll mention now is leading up to June 18th of 2022. All our affiliated organizations who are going, who are coming together with us. And remember what Susan said, they don't give up what they're doing and join us. Everybody joins together. And this huge mass assembly is going to occur in Washington, D.C. on June 18th, 2022. And we're doing all these different events to make people aware of why we have to be there.
So Understand and Present is your partner on this campaign, and please keep us up to date, and we will publish any information you want to give us, and to any process, any update during this campaign. And that was our show for today, and thank you so much for your activities and to be on the show. That was Face to Face, and keep please watching your news on presenza.com, and we hope to hear from you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.